Just when we thought Alex Cross was gone for good, he's back. And now he's with the FBI, doing basically everything he can to make himself go up the ranks once again to prove that he is just the kind of detective the FBI needs. And while he's still in orientation, a new case comes up that he is put up ahead of. Several men and women from across the country are being taken and purchased by various types of people. They're being hunted specifically by a couple named The Couple. The only evidence they can go off of is witness accounts seeing the couple take these people. Nobody knows where they're going or who has purchased them or who is even behind this entire crime. Alex faces a lot of opposition in this case, one of them being the fact that his family still is a big priority in his life. With little Alex starting to grow up and Damon and Janie starting to become older, it's really hard for Alex to be able to spend more time with them since he's so wrapped up in being on these cases. In James Patterson's The Big Bad Wolf, this story is really kind of interesting because to me, it's a really interesting segue into this new chapter of Alex's life. He's now a part of the FBI and things are very different now for him because he has to go basically through retraining to become an FBI agent. And the director is already on his side, but there's so many other people within the FBI that are just plotting against him, it seems like, in order for him to continue his work. And I really like that James Patterson kind of gives that little conflict to him because it is essentially like he's being retrained throughout the entire process and he has to kind of start back at square one, which in reality, when people kind of go through some kind of a change like that, it is essentially like you're starting back off at square one. So I really like how Patterson was able to kind of keep that within that story and kind of show that Alex has to start back at the bottom. Another thing that I really like with this is this conflict with the whole family situation. Now that Alex is basically in a new position that could possibly provide a lot of benefits for him as far as time with his family, it still doesn't change the fact that he is constantly having to be away from his family when his kids are growing up and his grandmother's getting older and it's really hard for her to be able to take care of the house. It's just so interesting to see this dynamic continue to play throughout this series, and while the last book wasn't as good, I feel like this one's definitely a step up because it is a whole new kind of sensation for Alex with the fact that he's in a new place and things are starting to go really, really well for him. Everything's starting to kind of go back to how it was, and then this case comes up. What I thought was really interesting about the case in this novel is that it reminds me of actually a novel that I've been working on for the last nearly 2 years of my life. My main villain picks out these women from a set description, dark hair, dark eyes, certain kind of facial characteristics that remind him of his mother. And there's a whole story on that, like a whole backstory with that, but essentially he kidnaps these specific women. And what's interesting about this case is that all of the people that are being kidnapped are matching very detailed descriptions of what the purchasers are looking for. And so it's just really interesting how there's this kind of correlation. Now this book is way, way older than my novel is, but it's interesting to see that I've kind of followed along with a lot of Patterson's writing, which is very true because I'm a big Patterson fan. I really have gotten a lot of inspiration from his writing and the way he builds his characters and the intensity. So it doesn't surprise me that I've kind of now found a book that is very similar in that aspect, but it's not exactly copying it either. I really think that this is a better book than Four Blind Mice because I felt like Four Blind Mice was just such a letdown as far as like how the whole story was and all the conflict. I didn't feel like it was really Alex's last case. And maybe that was because I knew that it wasn't really his last case in the end because I know there's more books, and I explained that in the book review for that one, but I think The Big Bad Wolf is definitely kind of the comeback book in this sense because this one really had some very interesting dynamics with the criminals and with the family and with everything that kind of happened, and crosses just entire frustration with trying to get work with the FBI while he was still technically back in training. Overall, like I said, this is definitely the comeback book for me when it comes to the Alex Cross series. I was really lost with Four Blind Mice, and Big Bad Wolf has just become like probably not my favorite out of the series, but definitely a very good one out of the entire series. But that's gonna do it for this book review of The Big Bad Wolf by James Patterson. I really think that Patterson did a much better job with this book, because I think now that we know that Alex has kind of had this transition in his life, there's a lot more he can kind of go with it, as far as like everything that kind of comes up against him and stuff like that, and all kinds of new interesting cases that he now gets to be kind of the lead on, because he's now in the FBI and he's not just with the DC Police Department. So I think that this book is definitely going to make me a little bit more happier with the series, and unfortunately this will be the last book in the Alex Cross series that I will be reading for a long time. I will be coming back to it at some point, but it's going to take me a long time too, because I have so many other books that I'm going to be reading, and this one's just going to be on the back burner because now I've kind of been on this mystery thriller train for a while with Cross, and so I think it's time for a bit of change of pace. If you guys do want to know about any of the other books in the series I haven't talked about, let me know, because I can do a full kind of review of the series to The Big Bad Wolf and kind of give an overview of what's happened in all of them, so that you guys can kind of figure that out, because I think that would really be cool. I honestly would love to do that. I think I might even do that honestly in the future, but that's only if you guys really, really want it. The next book I'm going to be reading is going to be Trinkets by Kirsten Smith. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I found this book at the dollar store of all places. You wouldn't expect to find books at the dollar store. I actually found two that are really, really cool, and I'm excited to read them. This one is supposed to be about three girls who are all shoplifters and kind of their little alliance that happens while they are shoplifting, and so I'm interested to see how this will play out, because I'm not familiar with novels that have main characters who are villains, so, or kind of any kind of vigilante, I guess you can say. But thank you guys so much for joining me in this book review of The Big Bad Wolf by James Patterson. If you guys enjoyed it, please do give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock, and I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys!